Hey everybody! So that was a jazz piece by Larry Minsky. I hope you enjoyed it. It's one of the pieces I learned a long time ago, and I still love to play that piece. So I figured I'd share it with you guys. I tried sharing it on a previous stream, but it didn't go through. So I redid it for you. Hopefully you enjoyed it. so anyway, I hope you're all doing well and staying all right out there. Um, Today, this is The Current. We bring you fresh live music to your living rooms each Tuesday, 8 p.m. And we get together, we share moments like this that inspire, hopefully move you through contemporary classical music, and show you some different things, maybe some stuff you haven't been exposed to before. And at least while live concerts aren't able to happen, this is how we will be presenting and connecting and feeling and communicating through what we do best. So thank you so much for joining us for this, what we call an adventure in music. So thank you very much. I hope you all get comfy, grab a drink, and join us for what we have in store. So tonight is obviously Cinco de Mayo. I hope you're aware of that. And so, but the cool thing about it is we have three. It's a little saxophone heavy. This concert. So Stuart Gerber actually said that we should go with it. I'm going with it. He said the name of tonight's episode is called Sax Toys. So because we have a toy piano in the mix of all of the saxophone performances. so let's see. So the first we have is Mark Engebretson performing his own piece that he wrote with poetry by Brian Lampkin, but I'm going to let him explain it. So could you tell us more about the piece you're going to play that you wrote?
Sure. Well, so it's a piece called The Outside, and it does have poetry by Brian Lampkin, um, who is my friend here in Greensboro, North Carolina. He runs an independent bookstore, Scuppernong Books. And the poem goes, "The outside is not mine any more than what's inside is yours. And yet we live under some same roof, walk into and out of door after door, sometimes together." So I wrote the piece kind of based around that really lovely and beautiful poem for Xian Li, who is a saxophonist in Bangkok, Thailand, about a year ago. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of the background on the piece.
Very cool. And so you said you wrote it about a year ago. how do you how do you develop a piece like this? What are some of the things you use, and what techniques?
Well, yeah, I mean, the piece uses a computer program, like a computer programming language, and called Max. And some of the development of the musical materials was done sort of hand in hand with developing the computer code that runs the piece. So
Great.
on the one hand, there's that, and then on the other hand, there was thinking about the poetry and what that might mean, and how that could be not represented but sort of intertwined with the materials of the music.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. And what are some things we should be listening out for? Would you mind turning your end up a little bit?
Sure. Can also do this. How's
That
that?
sounds great.
Okay,
And
sure.
so what are some things that some of the listeners might maybe should listen for?
Well, the one thing that I really wanted to say about the piece is that it's using pitch detection in the computer, which is to say that I'm playing along and the computer is listening, and it's triggering the next part of the patch, the next part of the piece, based on the notes that I'm playing.
Cool.
And
Very
so
cool.
I think that's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Awesome.
I'll actually, when I open up the piece, I'll kind of show how that how people could actually see how that's working.
That would be great. That would be really cool. All right. Well, show us how it works.
Okay. All right. Sure. So this is the user interface for the piece, and my audio might go off for a second here. Hang on. So, oh yes, and it's going to give me some reverb, which you probably don't want while I'm talking. Um, so what's going to happen is while I'm playing, the computer is kind of dormant, but after a certain amount of time, this light over here will light up to like a blue light. And when you see the blue light, then the computer's listening for its next cue. And when I play the next cue on the saxophone, it makes a trigger for the next, for its next action. And
Okay.
at the beginning of the piece, this should be like pretty obvious how that's working.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's hear it.
Okay.
The outside is not mine any more than what's inside is yours. yours. The outside is not mine. Is not mine. The outside is yours. The outside is yours. Then what's inside? The outside. Yet we live under some same roof. Walk into and out of door after door. Sometimes together. Yet we live under some same roof. Walk into and out of door after door. Yet we live door after door, door. Yet we live under some same roof. Walk into and out of door after door. Yet we live door after door.
That's the outside.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, Elizabeth. Appreciate it.
Of course, of course. You, Mark Engebretson, was my composition teacher at when I was getting a master's degree in music composition at the great UNC Greensboro. And it was a completely amazing experience. Opened my eyes to so many more different things. That's part of the reason I'm here doing this right now, and I thank you for that too. So, what is it like to teach composition before this craziness and now? What is it generally like, and then how did it change?
Well, first of all, it's always teaching composition's always awesome, especially at the great UNC Greensboro, and especially because we've had so many really wonderful students, including you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you and everything accomplished.
Oh,
Um,
thank you so much.
yeah. Um, you know, I mean, the program's really been strong. It's been really great. We've had lots and lots of really good students, and so I really enjoy that. I enjoy working with my faculty and my faculty colleagues and everything like that. In the last couple of months, we've had to revamp and retool everything, like everyone else, to go
Right.
online. And so we've done, I think, 4 student recitals, and then 2, end of year concerts for various classes that we have, where we've used a combination of, um, you know, either playback recordings of performances or even live performances sometimes. And,
Right.
all in all, I think it's come off pretty well, but on the other hand, it's not like, um, being live and in person.
Right. Exactly. Well, good luck with that. Your semester actually finished, I think. All of you guys,
A few
right?
minutes ago, yep.
A
Just
what?
a few
A
minutes
few
ago,
minutes ago.
literally.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. And that was
Forward
an
to it.
amazingly beautiful piece. It was very, very unique. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and I'm looking forward to the other performances.
Right, right. Me too. And just so you know, in the chat that we're on, you can access, or in the Facebook event link, you can access all of their artist links. Uh, So feel free to click on those, go visit some more music, go read about each of these artists. And as I always do, just a heads up, we do raise money in between each set. So all of the money goes to mainly to the artists, but then a little bit to help us keep running this show. So our Venmo is CLT New Music. Our Cash App is $ CLT New Music, and our PayPal is paypal.me/Charlotte New Music. If you can't remember any of that, just go to our website and click the uh, Get Involved button, and it's right there under contributions. So you can see all of the different methods that we accept. But we really appreciate that. WDAV 89.9 Classical Public Radio in the Charlotte area has committed to donating $50 each month for the artists that we present. So we really appreciate that. If you could match that or just give some pocket change, that would make a huge difference. So thank you so much. Up next, we have Olivia Keifer. And I met Olivia probably about 5 or 6 years ago when she came to the Charlotte New Music Festival. And she is based down in Atlanta. She'll be performing some of her original toy piano music. So, Olivia, how are you tonight?
I'm great. It's nice and hot. I'm actually in Miami now. Uh,
Oh my gosh, what were you down there?
I'm doing my doctorate in composition at the Frost School of Music.
How cool! Congratulations, that's so cool. And when are you going to be done?
Okay, well,
Oh, when do you expect to be finished with your doctorate?
tonight. No, I'm just kidding. Um, this is just the end of my first year.
Oh, okay, okay, cool. Well, good luck, and thank you for joining us tonight. Could you tell us a little bit about the music and why you chose toy piano?
Sure. Well, tonight I'm going to play 7 very short pieces from 2 of my toy piano books. Over the past 3 years, I've written or improvised 127 toy piano miniatures. And the first chunk of them are in this book called The Texture of Activity. And the second chunk is in a book that I'm still transcribing. So this is a combination of pieces from both of those books, and I just love the toy piano because I like everything about it that makes it cramped. You know, it's got a little bit of keys, doesn't have a lot of volume control. Um, you know, so you just have to work within these parameters. And I still haven't found that I've run out of material yet.
Really? Does it have any limitations or capabilities that are interesting to that instrument?
Well, I mean, the thing is that it's not really like a piano at all, except for that the keys are the same width. Believe it or not, they're not the same length.
Okay.
But you know, it doesn't sustain. It just each
Okay.
note all it does is this little plastic hammer that just hits a metal tine. At least with this instrument. And this instrument has been probably thrown against walls, and it's been in the trunk of my car, so it's kind of out of tune, you know. So
Okay.
some notes speak more than others, and that's something else I enjoy about toy pianos. You hear one, you hear another one, and none of them sound the same as the others.
Nice. All right. So tell us about the pieces you're gonna play, and what should we be listening for?
These are all sort of minimalisty, typically exciting pieces for the most part. And I'm gonna just go straight through them.
Sweet.
Probably less than 10 minutes.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah. Sounds great. Let's hear it.
Okay.
Bravo! I love it. Thank you so much. So I really noticed a nice use of range and timbre going on, some textures. I was wondering, does being a percussionist have any draw to the toy piano? Like, does that add to any attraction to the instrument?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just banging on stuff, you know.
Right,
Same,
right,
you
right. It also has like a very bell-like tone. At
Yeah.
least coming across the airwaves in this way, it does. Very cool. Thank you so much, Olivia. And can we find your music on your website by any chance?
Yeah, just oliviakeifer.com, and I also have a SoundCloud and an Instagram that some people might find amusing.
Awesome. What kind of projects are you working on these days?
Well, right now I'm just focusing on finishing out the school year, which is done officially for me on Thursday night, which is awesome.
Nice.
And then over the summer, I'm just going to be writing a lot of music, some electric guitar music, and enjoying the Wisconsin sunshine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you play electric guitar?
No, but I love to write for electric guitar. Like
Okay.
percussion, electric guitar, and saxophone. If I could write just for those things for the rest of my life, I'd be totally happy.
Nice, nice. And so tell people who might not know a little bit about composition or things like that. How do you write for something that you don't know how to play?
Well, it's a combination of just getting better.
Right. Right.
Um, so the more I write guitar music, the more I understand the instrument. And like, for instance, with guitar, it's kind of nice because I can use tab, or I can at least, make a fake neck and pretend that I'm playing, Saxophone, I mean, that's just like, most saxophones kind of want to kill me because I'm like, oh, you don't need to breathe, really. Like, you don't. Well, the saxophones, I don't know. I think I've gotten kind of lucky, and also, just learning more about the instrument. And I think my music, hopefully my saxophone music or guitar music doesn't sound like a percussionist is writing, but I would hope that sort of hints of that are in there.
Right.
That's what I like as a percussionist, to hear non-percussionists write music for marimba or drum set or whatever, because their music is going to sound different
Right.
than she's writing for percussionists.
Yeah, true. Very cool, Olivia. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it, and thank you for sharing your music. Super cool.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. All right, well, keep up. See ya. And next up we have Susan Fancher, an amazing saxophonist. She's going to play New York Counterpoint by Steve Reich. And Susan, could
Hi there.
you tell us?
Can you hear me?
Oops.
I'm going to lean over like this because this is the microphone I'm going to use.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm going to play New York Counterpoint by Steve Reich, which is probably by far the oldest piece on the program tonight. It was originally written in 1985 for clarinets. And actually, Mark and I met Steve Reich in Vienna when we were members of the Vienna Saxophone Quartet, and we were attending the premiere of his video opera, The Cave, the one he did with his wife, Beryl Carroll. And we talked to him after the concert, and then contacted him later and asked if he might be interested in writing any music for saxophone. Well, of course, he didn't have any time to write anything, and wasn't really interested, to be honest.
Right.
I don't think he has a very high opinion of the instrument, to be quite frank. And that's fair. He doesn't really do jazz, so it's not really his thing. And that's what he thinks of when he thinks of the saxophone, maybe being a New Yorker, I don't know.
Right,
But anyway,
right.
so after bothering him for a few months, he finally suggested maybe I would take a look at New York Counterpoint and see if we can make a saxophone version. So I made this version way back in, oh my gosh, I think it was like in the mid-90s that I made this transcription. It's all the same notes as the original. It's just put on various saxophones instead of various clarinets. And anyway, sent him a recording and he liked it. So, hopefully I can do it any justice tonight. A lot of us have probably been doing a lot of teaching the last few weeks,
Right.
not to make an excuse. Or
Right.
It's really hard to find any motivation to practice lately because the teaching's been kind of all-consuming, moving to online.
Right.
So, anyway, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to play this piece because it's been a little while since I've played it, and I really like this piece. I have played it on and off ever since the mid-90s, and it gave me a little bit of push, thank you, Elizabeth, to get the saxophone out and actually practice.
Right, right.
Finished with classes now. My schools are done, so I'm lucky to be on the other side of that. Fingers
Amazing.
crossed we can go back to live teaching in the fall.
Hopefully.
But of course, most people out there probably know Steve Reich's music, and it's in a minimalist style, so it's very cool to have it come after Olivia's music. So you planned that, didn't you, Elizabeth?
No, but it's interesting. I figured I would just break up the sax, and plus you couldn't go right after Mark, but for technical reasons. But yeah, no, I mean it actually works out. A lot of things work out weirdly on this program, but yeah.
You should have just said, yes, I'm a programming genius.
Well, yeah, I mean.
I'm going to switch over to Logic on the computer and see if I can make this thing work.
Oh, I have a question for you though, real quick. So tell us a little bit about your version of it and how are you doing this? If it's written for multiples, how are you doing it?
Right, so the original is for 12 clarinets, 11 or 12, I can't even remember. And so I made a version of it that's for 12 saxophones. And this is just taking one of the parts, the top part, and then the rest of the parts are recorded onto, well, originally, I think it was a cassette. But then it was a CD, and then it was a computer file, and now it's recorded onto some computer file here. So all the other parts that I'm not playing, of course, Mark and I have pre-recorded. He played all the tenor and bari parts, and I played all the alto and soprano saxophone.
Nice.
Yeah, and the original can be played like that too. It can be played as a solo clarinet with a playback track with all the other parts.
Very cool. Very cool.
So, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Logic here.
Wow. That's a marathon of a piece.
It's so fun though. You kind of
It seems really
kind
fun
of
to
get
play.
into a zone when you're playing. It's like time just doesn't happen anymore.
Wow, I bet. So, tell me, what were some challenges and considerations when you were making this?
Yeah, when I was making it, the biggest challenge really is the fact that the clarinet has a much bigger range than the saxophone. So it doesn't go really terribly high. So the soprano saxophone can take over all of the high stuff on the normal B flat clarinet. But anything that goes below my low B flat, which is a flat on the clarinet, I can't really, I can't play it all on the soprano sax. And I tried to avoid, the lowest note I used was a B natural concert C flat. No, wait a second. A B natural concert A. So I didn't go past a low A concert pitch on the soprano. And so some things that were in the low range on the B flat clarinet, I
Right.
dumped over onto alto saxophone. So they
Okay,
get
okay.
the low range and things like that. But other than that, the instruments are similar enough in the way they're played with the single reed that I think that Steve really made a good choice to suggest this piece. Also, at that time, not very many clarinet players were playing the piece at all.
Right.
So it really wasn't getting played at all. And I think that was also another reason that he wanted to see if it would work, because
Right.
saxophone players, if they get a piece, they'll play it. So anyway, I
The
do think,
register was glistening. It was beautiful.
well, thank you so much.
What
Yeah.
is the highest note? Was that a high concert F sharp?
Yeah, at the end, yeah.
Yeah, wow. That was amazing.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a lot of fun. Yeah, well, thanks for the opportunity to do that. I hope that came across.
Thank you. And where can we find that transcription? If I mean, do 12 saxophone players ever play this?
Oh yeah, several times. Yeah, it's
Nice.
published by Boozy and Hawks, and that's great, but that's terrible at the same time, because they've made it for rental, and that's a real barrier. And
Interesting.
for a while, you could buy it through the rental department, and I think you're supposed to be able to do that. But anyway, so it's a little bit tough to get a hold of the music, but there are quite a few like college professors who have had their saxophone ensembles played, and
Nice.
I
Yeah.
played it with a group in China one time. It works really great. Yeah, it's a fun piece. I love this music, actually. Steve Reich has been one of my favorite composers since forever. In fact, I don't remember what year it was. Whenever CD players first came out, I think it might have been was it in 1990? Mark will have to correct me on that. Mark and I-
1980, 19, wasn't it 1980? Well, they came out around 85. I think we got ours in 89, right?
Yeah, right after we got married, we went and got
Right.
a CD player. And then, honest to God, the first CD we bought was drumming.
Amazing.
Yeah, anyway, it's good fun.
Well, thank you so much. All right, cool. So you can find it on Busy Hawks. But do you arrange other stuff that we can find, or what?
I have done arrangements. Let me think about this now. Some music by Jacinto Scelsi. Ben Johnston's Ponder Nothing, which was originally for clarinet, is published by Smith Publications, and that works beautifully on the alto saxophone. I've played that one very, very much. I also thought about doing that tonight, so maybe
Nice.
another time. Gorgeous piece. So I haven't done a lot of arranging, but usually I stick to pieces that I think translate really easily to the saxophone. And I would say what I do is more of just transcribing, and the choice, the choice of piece is really where the quote unquote arranging happens.
Right, right, right. Well, I loved it. I loved the textures. I loved the tones, and I loved how you split the different parts up and made it all work. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very effective. I would love to hear it live, surrounded by saxophones. Maybe they could do that at my funeral or something. I won't be there to enjoy it, but or a wedding if that were ever in a million years happen. But I'm sure the audience would love that. Anyway, thank you so much. That was awesome. All right, up next, last but very not least, Bent Frequency Duo, made up of Stuart Gerber, who is a percussionist, and Jan Baker, who is another sax player. So, like I warned you guys from the start of this, it is a saxophone infiltrated with one toy piano concert, so it's called Sax Toys. And I would like to now feature Bent Frequency Duo.
Hello.
Hello, and you guys are in Atlanta right now, right?
We are.
Correct.
Nice. And could you tell us about yourselves briefly?
Sure. So we're the Bent Frequency Duo Project, which is.
We might have a little trouble hearing you. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. Great. Great.
Okay. So we are the Bent Frequency Duo Project, an offshoot of the larger group Bent Frequency, which Stuart co-founded with a few others in 2003. And I've been working with Stuart as co-artistic director since 2009. And so we started this project in 2014 to commission new works for saxophone and percussion. And since that time, we have commissioned over 30 new works for saxophone and percussion.
Amazing.
So, yeah, that's who we are. That's what we do.
So is that what this piece is going to come from? Your piece by Amy Williams called Child's Play that you're going to perform next?
Yes. So this is Amy was one of well, probably the second iteration of composers that we commissioned. And Amy is a longtime friend of both Stuart's and mine. I knew Amy from my days at Northwestern when I was a grad student, and she was teaching the orchestration classes there, and I would go in and do demonstrations for her classes at Northwestern on, you know, what one can
nice.
and can't do when writing for the saxophone. And Stuart has known her for a long time as well, and knows her dad, Jan Williams, who's a very famous percussionist, knows her dad very well. And so we thought, well, what better person to write for us than Amy?
Right.
And she was thrilled to write this piece that features toy instruments, actually. So it's titled Child's Play because she basically went to her children's toy box and found whatever toy percussion instruments she could and wrote the piece for saxophone and toy instruments. And she did that because we asked her to keep the instrumentation to a minimum, something we could travel with easily. And well, she took that to the extreme. And so Stuart uses slide whistle. It's supposed to be children's bongos, but these are more professional bongos. Slinky. What else have you got over there?
Train whistle.
Marbles.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good fun.
Super excited. All right, we'll let the professional bongos slide this one time. All right, so what should we be listening for? Could you maybe demonstrate the slide whistle, or isn't there at some point where you're dropping something into a metal ball, or like what are some things going on that you could maybe just demonstrate briefly before we get started?
Yeah, I mean, a slide whistle is sliding, yeah, like that. And then the train whistle has a three pitch whistle.
Oh, how
It
cool.
sounds like a train.
Wow.
And then the piece is in 3 movements, so that's something to note. The last movement I drop marbles in a stainless steel mixing bowl and swish them around. So,
Sweet.
yeah.
And then
Awesome.
the slinky's pretty cool.
Oh, the slinky, yes.
Yeah, so the slinky is, I play it like that on the bongo head.
Nice.
Interesting. Yeah, and the second movement.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys. Is there anything else we should be listening for, or?
The only other thing I can
else
say is that Amy uses some extended techniques in the saxophone, so you'll hear multiphonics, you'll hear some slap tonguing, you'll hear some performance without the mouthpiece
Okay.
on the saxophone. So there's a number of things. You'll hear them as they come along.
Awesome. All right. Thanks. Let's hear it. Thank you so much, Jan and Stuart. Um, I was wondering, so for people who might be new to this kind of genre that we've kind of all presented tonight, we would blanket this, or I would at least blanket this, all under contemporary classical music. But it's all, I mean, all different subgenres of that. It's really hard to categorize it all. What, if you had to put a label on the majority of things that you guys do, what would you say it would be?
Label the majority of what we do as, I mean,
Oh, could you step closer to the mic,
oh,
please?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough question to
It
label
is.
to generalize. I mean, we do everything from, electronic music combined with, acoustic, contemporary music. I mean, most of it is just avant-garde or experimental
Right.
music, but of course, we play things that have a nice melody too, so
Right,
we
right.
like it all.
Right, right. It was super fun, and as some of the comments say, it's always a treat to hear you guys. And well, that was fun. Thank you. It was super, super cool piece. Were there any improvisational elements to that piece?
No, Amy's a master composer, and even when things sound perhaps improvised in certain sections, unlike the third movement, perhaps sounds a little bit improvised. She very carefully crafts the entire
Wow.
movement, very specific rhythms. And the second movement is very tightly constructed, obviously, coordinating between saxophone and percussion. The rhythms are very particular, and that one's highly rhythmically crafted, and everything is very carefully written out. The first movement, there are gestures, I suppose, that sound improvisatory when you're combining the sounds of multiphonics on the soprano saxophone with whether it's a slide whistle or whether it's a train whistle. It sounds almost like you're waiting until a certain vibe has released and then you move on to the next thing. But again, she writes all of these things out very thoroughly.
Wow, that's so cool, and so well constructed. You would think that it did have an improvisational natural element to it, and it was very, very well crafted. Thank you so much. This was amazing. And just as a reminder to our audience, if you can please tip, that would be amazing. We even have it written out here. Venmo is CLT New Music. Cash App is $ CLT New Music. And PayPal, you might not be able to read it, but it's paypal.me/Charlotte New Music. Charlotte New Music is the name of the organization that features we promote contemporary classical and contemporary classical music, but mostly we lean contemporary, mostly like 98% probably lean contemporary these days, because we want that to have a scene, we want it to have a voice here. And as you can tell from everything you've heard tonight, and there's so many more genres that we haven't even touched on tonight, subgenres, right, of contemporary classical. As you just heard a little bit of Jan, what she was talking about, what all they kind of do. There's electronic, there's improvisatory, there's avant-garde, there's experimental, there's traditional classical sounding, there's minimal poppy sounding, there's beautiful meditative, there's improvisatory, there's experimental, there's thought-provoking. It's such a wide world of music. So thank you for coming on our adventure tonight. We really appreciate your presence here, wherever you're watching, whether that's from YouTube or Facebook or our website. Our website is charlottenewmusic.org. And if you want to, you can go ahead and sign up for our newsletter. And we don't send them out too often, but maybe like once a month, and just to kind of update on what's going on in the area, what's going on with a lot of the artists we work with and local composers. And just kind of spotlighting what's going on locally. Charlotte, North Carolina is not known as being a hotspot for contemporary music. So we're trying to create a little bit more of a scene for that and raise awareness about what we do as composers and as musicians of this type of music. So once again, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed Sax Toys and all of our lovely performer friends that were a part of this tonight. Thank you for being in the audience. Again, if you want to contribute, if you're able to contribute even $1, $5, whatever you can go to just charlottenewmusic.org/donate, and then you see all of the different ways you can give, whether that's Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, whatever works for you. And we really appreciate the help. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for all of your work. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your organization of all of
Thank
this, and great to see so many great friends on here too. Olivia and Sue and Mark, we have long time connections, and we're grateful to all of you. So thanks, Elizabeth, for bringing us all together.
It's been so much fun. Every time I host this every week is like I'm hanging out with friends again. And so thank you, and I'm so excited to do it. So by the way, this does happen every week, every Tuesday, at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So come back again and join the fun. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Be safe.
Thank you.
Bye.